And usually I start that off with, I'm going to ask you some questions that are probably none of my business, but I have to in order to see if I can help you. And most of the time they say, okay, that's fine. Then you say, how much do you owe on your property? What's your monthly payments? How far behind are you? When did you get the notice of default? You start asking these different questions because then that lets you know how much time do I have? Could I actually buy it outright? Could I actually maybe help them out with payments? Could I do a subject to with them? Could they do an owner carry for me? Depending on, what they say, and I write it all down, and then I can make decisions and say, you know what? Looks like there might be something we could do.
So pre-foreclosure, so you have somebody that's defaulted on their payments. It could be the first mortgage or the second mortgage, but they've got some sort of foreclosure going on. This is very different than the last one. Jason was just pointing out the $207 a square foot, very different from the $70 a square foot. It also depends on how clean it is.
Yeah. And it doesn't look too bad from the pictures. Looks like they converted a garage into a living space, which most of the time, depending on the property, we switch back to a garage. Even though it takes away a bedroom, usually, for this type of price point, a lot of times you can get more money out of it with the garage than with the bedroom. But it kind of depends. So I don't say that's always a rule of thumb, but look at your surrounding areas, what things will go for and what the market demands. But probably 5 times out of 10, we end up converting that extra bedroom back into a garage. It's actually not bad. Carpet, paint, there's a little bit of pink here and there.
Looks like they got a couple little sheds.
Yeah. Yeah, nice molly barn. Nice big backyard. Looks like it's all fenced. Yeah, no, but that was a converted garage. And maybe not. It may not be. But that's usually, if I can see does that look like a line there? And so that's why I say you may, depending on what they want for square foot, where they're adding that square footage at 207, you'd probably have to leave it a garage in order to get the money out of it if the market would allow you, because then it would take it to a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, and it would take out part of that square footage, which would bump that square footage up even higher. Yeah. You'd probably take 300 square feet out of there. So now you're 1,100 square foot house, and you'd be at probably 230 a square foot.
Yeah.
Which I think it would be way overpriced at that point.
See, and I wonder if the cost of, bringing that back into being a garage would actually be better to just do like a carport right there.
Maybe. Yeah. Just something they can cover their garage with or cover their car with. Yeah.
So how would you approach the owner of this property? This is a pre-foreclosure. We've got a lot of different options as we have conversations, but approaching the homeowner that's existing and they're the ones that are facing a default, what are some of the first questions you would ask them?
I'm glad you brought that up because I think just looking at this as a deal, I don't think it's a deal. I don't think I would buy this for $290,000. I think it's overpriced. I don't think it's a property you could get your money back out on. But as a rental property, it might work out, especially if you get the owner to carry it, just like you said. Mm-hmm. So some of the things you could probably knock on their door, depending on how far they are behind on their payments. You never want to knock on somebody's door that's only 30 days behind, even 60 days behind. You never want to knock on their door because 9 times out of 10 or 90% of the time, they're like, no, I'll catch them up. I'm good. I just missed a paycheck. I just switched jobs. We're good. They aren't willing to talk to you. Usually that sweet spot when they want to talk to you is when they're 90 days to 120 days late. Then they're at a point, they're like, there's no way I can catch up those 3 months payments. And they won't even accept unless I can bring up those 3 months payments. So they either got to borrow money or maybe they have savings somewhere they could pull out. But most of the time at that point, they're willing to do something. And sometimes it's unfortunate. People wait till there's 2 weeks before auction. And sometimes that inhibits us from going in and helping out because that's not much time to talk to the bank. That's not much time to bring up the payments current, to figure out what their payments are. So if this guy is, say he's close to 90 days late, then you just knock at the door and say, hey, tell them who your name is, whatever company you're with. Hey, we understand that you may be missing some payments, or you may be in a situation with your home that you might need some help. So the reason why I say situation with your home, you never want to say, hey, I hear you're missing your payments, or because it means accusing them of not being a good person, which you're not. So you say, hey, I understand you have a situation with your home, or I understand that your home is facing some hardship, or you might be facing some hardship. And they say, well, what do you mean? And you say, We are out here helping people that are in your situation. Would you like to sit down and talk? So you try to make that problem not attached to them. Because as soon as you attach a problem to them, then they feel like they're being attacked. They feel like they aren't the problem, which 9 times out of 10 they probably are. But you don't want to say that to them. Yeah. Either something happened financially, something happened mentally, something happened in the relationship that they have gotten to a point where they can't make those payments anymore. And so you want to make that as a third party as much as possible. Hey, your property is a situation. It's in a situation. It's probably raining you some havoc, whatever it is. And then just talk to them and say, hey, can we come in and talk to you? Sit down, you talk and say, so how far behind are you? And usually I start that off with, I'm going to ask you some questions that are probably none of my business, but I have to in order to see if I can help you. And most of the time they say, okay, that's fine. Then you say, how much do you owe on your property? What's your monthly payments? How far behind are you? When did you get the notice of default? You start asking these different questions because then that lets you know, how much time do I have? Could I actually buy it outright? Could I actually maybe help them out with payments? Could I do a subject to with them? Could they do an owner carry for me? Depending on, what they say, and I write it all down, and then I can make decisions and say, you know what? Looks like there might be something we could do. Are you willing to work with me if we can figure out how to either save your home or keep you in your home or save your credit? And if they say yes, then I'm going to need you to work quickly. And when I ask you to do things and have you give you assignments, I need you to do them as soon as possible because we're running against the clock here. If they say, no, I'm not, or they hesitate, then you just make very clear, say, well, I'm willing to help, but I need your participation to help because doing nothing is a decision. And we need to make some decisions fast in order to get you through this process. Yeah. And I'm letting you know that if you come in and you work with us, we will do everything we can to, number 1, save your home, number 2, save your credit, number 3, save you from going into bankruptcy not bankruptcy, but going into foreclosure because you can't save them from bankruptcy. Yeah. So that's kind of the conversation that we have. I know you've done the same thing and had the same conversations with people, and the big thing is you just want to make sure you're not blaming the situation they're in on them. You're third party, and that's not the right word. You're distancing them. That's not the right word either. What's the word I'm looking for, Colter?
You're going into the problem solver, right? And
yeah.
You want to put the problem on the fact that there's a home and the home has a loan against it and that hasn't been satisfied. And you're not trying to create any emotions tied to the loss of a job, the loss of a family member, medical issues. There's a whole bunch of other things that are probably happening in this person's life.
Yep.
And you don't want the PTSD, the challenges of that to come up. You want to associate it simply with the home, and it's the home's problem.
Yep.
So that then you can identify what is it that we can do for the home. Because as much as we want to solve all these other things, we're trying to solve one thing so that they can go back to solving all of these other things.
I'm glad the way you put that because we really are problem solvers and we really are there to help them as long as they want to be helped. And that meeting that you're having with them right then, that's what you're figuring out. Are they willing, is the pain enough that they want to work and want to help themselves, or are they not at that point yet? And sometimes they're not. So then you just hand them your card or say, hey, write down my number. When you're ready, please give me a call because we're ready to help. And then you get up and you walk out. And I'll bet you half the time when I've done that, they're like, okay, sit back down. We're ready to talk because they're getting beat up. They're getting phone calls from they're probably late on car payments, late on bills and other things. And so they're just getting beat up. And so you don't want them to think that you're another person there to beat up on them. You don't want them to think you're another person that's there to judge them. I go in with the least amount of judgment that I possibly can, that I am just there to help and they're in a situation and we're going to help them out of that situation.
Yeah. Well, I love that approach. And again, on this deal, I don't know that we're going to find a deal in this one very different from the last one that we jumped into the analysis. But
man, if they don't owe very much on it, like say maybe they only owe $200 on it and they've got a 2.5% interest rate, hey, there might be something there we can do to help them out. Mm-hmm. And I have no problem giving them money, up front and help them out in the back end, whatever it makes it to be a win-win. I mean, obviously we got to do it to make money. That's what we do it for. But it's not that we have to make a home run. And if we don't, make $100,000, we're not going to do it. There's some I come away with just making very little.
Yeah.
But I do have to make money. My wife reminds me all the time, we are not a nonprofit organization working in the discomfort of our own home. Sometimes it feels like that. Sometimes it feels like that. So, but we have to, make some money. So,
Okay, so
all right, let's dig a little deeper into this.
if we go into this, so
Original loan 126.
so last recorded.
Estimated loan balance 113. Oh, so they do have some equity in this thing.
They might have. Okay. Well, information is power, right?
Yeah. So this is something I would go talk to them about. This is a perfect subject to or an owner carry that you could help these people out with. There's plenty of stuff there that we could that not only help them out with. Well, total assessed value. Oh, jeez, I'm sorry, I bumped it.
God, Jason, we can't take you
I know,
anywhere.
seriously, I got fat fingers. my kids call my fingers sausage fingers.
So estimated value 366.
See, I think that's a little high. The estimated value on that
I think so too.
Yeah.
1,400 square feet.
for
You're looking at
366. That's 2.5 years ago.
$250 a square foot.
Yeah.
On Logan Drive is not going to bear that.
Nope. But 252 would.
Which that's what they're saying the estimated
Estimate
equity
equity
is,
is, yeah.
right? But 252 could probably be the gross purchase price.
Yep.
And if they only owe 114,000, then yeah, this would definitely be somebody to talk to.
Yeah, I think so. I think we could help them out. And when there's that much equity, a lot of people think that investors come in and just do the bare minimum and take all that equity. I had a house over in Boise that we did that had about $180,000 worth of equity, and she was willing to walk away from it. We moved her to Oregon and we helped her out. We cleaned the place out. We sold it. But I made a deal with her. I'm like, look, I'm going to give you 10 grand up front, and then once this thing sells, I'm going to give you a percentage of how much we make at the end. And I ended up writing her a check for $40,000.
Wow.
She was beyond ecstatic. Now I made about $80,000, which was worth it for me, and it was worth it for her. Otherwise, she was going to lose it and not make anything. And there's some investors out there you might see that will be like, "Why would you do that? You could have just taken all that money." Well, yes, we probably could, but I'm telling you what, that lady's referred me 2 other people that I've done deals on because I treated her so well and helped her out. And I am all about creating a win-win-win, and it was an ecstatic win for her.
Yeah.
And for us. You
Well,
know?
and good on you to be thinking about the person too. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's too bad that people will take advantage of situations. And some people will think, oh, well, you're taking advantage by making money off of somebody's bad situation. Well, they can either lose it all
Yeah.
or they can get some from me.
Yep. I saved the credit. I moved her, gave her some cash up front, and then gave her cash at the back end. So there's nobody could ever say, oh, he took advantage of that lady, because they were going to foreclose on him if I wouldn't have made a payment on them. And I started making payments for her out of a company out of Oregon, and they called me and said, what's going on? How come I'm getting this check from you? I was like, I'm helping this lady out. They're like, all right, your check cashed. No problem. They just wanted it to be out of foreclosure. So yeah. So I think that might be a good deal. It's funny that when we first started, we're like, man, there's no deal there. But then once we found out, how much is owed and what there is and their equity, I think they're way overpriced. So, we'd have to negotiate with them and see what they want. Somebody may come in and give it to them and may not be a deal, and they may not be that far in the foreclosure. Does it say how far along they are in the foreclosure process? Auction time.
It's in July.
Auction dates in July. All right, so we've got about 3 months. So it must have been filed about a month ago then.
Faucet.
Okay.
Let's go to the owner. Okay, so you got to pay for the software to get any more information there. But okay.
All right.
Yeah,
That's what I do. That's when I would go by and talk to.
Yeah.
See if we can make them help him out.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, that was fun to.
I think it was too. We ought to do that. We ought to do that like once every other month or something. We ought to jump in and dive in and analyze some properties.
Yeah, we should. Let's do it.
Because you and I may end up making a couple offers on properties today.
Well, might as well.
All right. Until next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Absolutely.